So Barbara, you're Dutch, originally from the Netherlands, worked globally for 10 years, now living in Canada, but here you are with us in New Zealand. So tell us about your winter road trip in New Zealand.
It's interesting how that came about. About half a year ago, I pitched for Horizons Ventures in Canada, and long story short, that resulted in getting a grant from the Li Ka-shing Foundation.
Wow, you say that so. One of the world's wealthiest men, one of Asia's most influential businessmen, you say that as if, oh well, I just went down the road and got the grant.
I think it relates to how we do business. If I were in the business of selling bikes, I wouldn't be in it because that would be boring. But the whole concept of the business is to create a more inclusive community. We really need to make a change. We really need to come together and get rid of the social divides between people with and without disabilities, between people of different races, because between people of different religions. But my company is mostly, of course, based on the social divide between people with and without disabilities.
And so the Li Ka-shing Foundation saw the Alinker, heard you speak about the Alinker. Is that how it happened?
Yes, I pitched to the venture fund, and I pitched from my heart. Like my business is from the heart. So I shared what the impact is of the Alinker on people's lives, and didn't talk about forecast and didn't talk about numbers and all that stuff that still needs to happen.
That's boring if you've got billions of dollars anyway, right?
Exactly. And I think that people pitch to investors for money, and investors like, that again. But if you talk from the heart, which I couldn't do anything else, I couldn't do that differently anyway, because the Alinker is so impactful on people. It actually moved them. And at the end of the pitch I said something like, before we talk about money, I'd like to meet you, because we need to be good with each other before we can talk about money. And so that resulted in a grant from the Li Ka-shing Foundation that is earmarked to donate a lot of Alinkers to our partner organizations.
And how did New Zealand get to be one of those partner organisations?
Well, we've got this woman in Wellington, Christina.
Where all great women come from. Said a girl born and raised in Wellington.
No comment, I have no idea. But Christine emailed me one day, and Christine used to be doing triathlons and used to be a fit person, and then she got MS. And as there's nothing designed for people to stay active really, she was sitting at home, losing her abilities, losing her muscle mass and active life. And she saw the Alinker online and contacted me and said, I want this now, this is going to change my life, I want this. She had a vision for herself, and that's our typical customers, people that sit at home, suffer from like, there has to be something. They find it and they're like, oh my God, this is going to change my life, I want this. So she kept, I can't say nagging because she corrected me, she said I was hounding you, and she wouldn't let go. I said, it's $800 to ship that thing, it's but we she kept emailing me, and at a certain time I said, okay, well, let's just Skype, because this is silly. So we Skyped and we connected for 2 hours or something, and somewhere in that 2 hours I must have said, shit, I'll just ship you one. And she said, you do what? I said, yeah. So then of course it didn't get better, because she only started Facebooking more about it, and got Radio New Zealand to do a show on it, and since that time I got tons of emails from people that said like, oh, I want this too. And then Life Unlimited contacted me and said, do you need a distributor? This would probably be a good time. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So we started talking with Life Unlimited, and they are now the official distributor of the Alinker in New Zealand. And then with the Li Ka-shing Foundation, I thought, 40 Alinkers to the MS Society.
Yeah.
So that donation is the end of the tour. So I'm doing 2 weeks, or just over 2 weeks of a tour in New Zealand, which is now nearly done. And on Monday we're handing over 40 Alinkers to the MS Society in a quite a filled event, I have to say. Yeah.
How have you found New Zealand, and how has it been compared to what you thought it would be like?
Well, my staff asked me before I went to New Zealand, this is my first time here, and my staff asked me, you are coming back, right? I think they
we love hearing things like that.
And I think they felt something that I felt. Christine said at a certain time, New Zealand is small enough to make this really big. And that has really proven the character of New Zealand. People make references to, we don't have 6 degrees of separation, we have 2 degrees of separation. Everybody knows everybody, it seems, and there's a bigger sense of community here.
A strong sense of fairness too.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and very susceptible to the concept of the Alinker. I've had about 40 presentations and demos and meetings with people over the last 15 days or something, and it's been extreme. Everybody jumps on it, and I've been blown away by how the impact continues to be.
And tell us about the global impact of the Alinker. You're living in Canada, and you're in New Zealand, but are you going to do this roadshow elsewhere as well?
Well, we're sort of following the energy. That's what we've done so far. I mean, that's, I think, what you do with a startup. You follow where it's warm, and if it's warm in New Zealand, you go to New Zealand, and if it's warm somewhere else, you go there. At the moment, it's mostly the focus on America and Canada to get that right, because it's such a vast continent. To really focus on deepening that, and with the donations of Likashing, we've got a total of 17 organizations that we donate to, one in the Netherlands, one in New Zealand, and the rest is in Canada and the US.
Okay, so New Zealand's right up there, right at the forefront of this technology, which really is designed from the human aspect rather than the disability aspect.
Yeah, a body is what we have, that doesn't determine who we are. My grandma always said that. She said, we're born little naked creatures that just want to be happy. And if we connect on that level, all the rest is what we have, and it doesn't make us different. We can connect, and I think a deeper connection is based on vulnerability. Shit can happen to us. We're vulnerable. I mean, ultimately we die. We all die. We can't get away from that. And there's a nice thing in that. There's a beauty in that, because it actually makes us more vulnerable and aware of what the value of life is. And in that awareness, we can actually connect. So with the Alinker, dismissing people on the kind of body that they have or the exterior, is really quite silly, actually, because we're missing so much human potential in the relationships that we're building. Yeah. I
feel quite moved just listen to you say that. Well, it's been very nice to have you here, and we hope that this is not your first and last trip to New Zealand.
No, definitely not. No.